my name is Shinko. Welcome to my channel. We have been attempting to escape from the horrors of real life with the Warriors, Fire and Ice. It is the second book in the series by Erin Hunter. You could check out my previous videos. I have read the entire first book. We are in the middle of chapter 4 right now. And we just left off with Fireheart and Graystripe were given their very first warrior mission. That mission is to bring Wind Clan back home. So they're right now in the middle of their mission, and they're kind of spying on some River Clan warriors who were trying to hunt in Wind Clan territory, which is against the warrior code. And they said that they wouldn't. Oh, Alex says hi. Alex the Floof says hi. But the last time I showed him fully on camera with his cheek, YouTube disabled my comments, so. Okay, getting right to it. They're coming this way. We'll have to hide. Follow me, Graystripe whispered. I smell badgers this way. Badgers? Fireheart echoed. Is that safe? He'd heard about a story about how Halftail lost his tail in a fight with a badgered, old-tempered brock. Or with a bad-tempered old brock. Don't worry, the scent is strong but stale, Graystripe reassured him. There must be an old set near here. Fireheart sniffed. His scent glands picked up a strong, almost fox-like scent. Are you sure it's abandoned? Well, not soon enough. Come on, we've got to get out of here, replied Graystripe. He led the way quickly through the low bushes. The rustle of heather told Fireheart the River Clan warriors were closing in. Here! Graystripe shouldered aside a tuft of heather to reveal a sandy hole in the ground. Get inside! The badger scent will disguise ours. We can wait till they're gone. Fireheart slipped speedily into the dark hole, and Graystripe followed him. The stench of badger was overwhelming. Paw steps thudded on the ground overhead. Both cats held their breath as the steps halted, and one of the River Clan warriors yelled, Badger set! From the rasping mew, Fireheart knew it was Blackclaw. A second voice answered, Is it abandoned? The rabbit may be hiding inside. Fireheart felt Graystripe's fur bristling beside him in the dark. He unsheathed his claws and stared at the entrance to the hole, ready to fight if warriors came inside. Wait, the scent leads this way, meowed Blackclaw. There was a scrabble of paws overhead as the River Clan warriors charged away. Graystripe slowly let out a breath. Do you think they're gone? Perhaps we should wait a bit longer. Make sure none of them stay behind, Fireheart suggested. No more noises came from outside, and Graystripe nudged Fireheart. Come on! Fireheart followed Graystripe cautiously out into the daylight. There was no sign of the River Clan patrol, and the fresh breeze cleared Fireheart's scent glands of the badger stench. We should look for the Wind Clan camp, he meowed to Graystripe. It will be the best place to pick up their scent. Okay, answered Graystripe. They moved slowly through the heather, keeping their mouths slightly open to pick up the scent of any more River Clan warriors. They stopped at the foot of a large, flat rock that sloped up steeply past the tops of the gorse bushes. I'll climb up and have a look around, offered Graystripe. Okay, Fireheart agreed. But keep your head down. Be careful. He watched his friend creep up the rock. Graystripe crouched at the top and gazed around the plateau, then skidded back down to Fireheart. There's a hollow over there, I think, Graystripe puffed, signaling with his tail. I can see a gap in the heather. Let's check it out, meowed Fireheart. It could be the camp. That's what I thought, Graystripe nodded. It's probably the only place up here that's sheltered from the wind. As they neared the hollow, Fireheart raced past Graystripe and gazed over the edge. It looked as if a Star Clan warrior had reached down from the sky, scooped a pawful of peat from the plateau, and replaced it with a thick tangle of gorse that grew almost to the level of the ground on either side. Fireheart sniffed. He could smell many scents. All Wind Clan, old, young, male, female, and in the background the faint odor of fresh kill that had long since become crow food. This had to be the abandoned camp. Fireheart bounded down the slope and plunged into the bushes. The gorse tugged at his fur and scratched his nose. It made his eyes water, and he could hear Graystripe behind him, cursing as thorns snagged in his ears. They pushed through into a sheltered clearing. The sandy ground had been trodden hard by generations of paws. At one end of the clearing stood a rock, worn smooth by many wind-blown moons. This is their camp, all right, Fireheart murmured. I can't believe Brokestar managed to drive WindClan out of such a well-protected place, meowed Graystripe, rubbing his sore nose with one paw. It looks like they put up a good fight, Fireheart pointed out, realizing with a jolt how badly ravaged the camp was. Clumps of fur littered the ground. Dried blood stained the sand. Mossy nests had been dragged out of dens and torn apart. Everywhere, the stale ShadowClan scents mingled with the smell of terrified WindClan cats. Fireheart shuddered. Let's find the scent trail out of here, he meowed. He began to sniff the air carefully and moved forward, following the strongest scent. Graystripe padded after him to a narrow gap in the gorse. WindClan cats must be even smaller than I remembered, grumbled Graystripe as he squeezed through after Fireheart. Fireheart glanced at his friend, amused for a moment. The scent trail was quite clear now. Definitely WindClan, but mixed and pungent, as if made by many frightened cats. Fireheart looked down, and drops of dried blood dotted the ground. We're heading the right way, he meowed darkly. 2 moons of rain and wind had failed to wash away the signs of suffering. Fireheart could clearly picture the defeated and injured clan fleeing from their home. With a surge of anger, he bounded after his friend. The trail led them to the far edge of the uplands, where they stopped to catch their breath. In front of them, the ground sloped away to the 2-lake farmland. Far in the distance, where the sun was beginning to set, loomed the towering shapes of Highstones. I wonder if Nightpelt is there yet, Fireheart murmured. In a tunnel below Highstones lay the sacred Moonstone, where the leaders of each clan shared dreams with StarClan. Well, we don't want to find him down there, Graystripe flicked his tail at the wide expanse of 2-leg land. It'll be hard enough dodging 2 legs, rats, and dogs without meeting the new ShadowClan leader as well. Fireheart nodded. He thought back to their last journey across this land with Bluestar and Tigerclaw. They had almost been killed by an attack of rats, and only the arrival of Barley, the loner, had saved them. Even so, Bluestar lost one of her lives. The memory of it stung Fireheart like a wood ant. Do you think we'll find any trace of Ravenpaw down there? Graystripe meowed, turning his broad face towards Fireheart. I hope so, Fireheart replied solemnly. The last he had seen of Ravenpaw had been the white tip of his tail disappearing into the storm on the uplands. Had the ThunderClan apprentice made it safely to Barley's territory? The 2 warriors started down the slope, carefully sniffing each clump of grass to make sure they stayed on WindClan's trail. It doesn't look as if they were heading for High Stones, Graystripe remarked. The trail took them sideways into a wide, grassy field. They skirted the edge, staying near the hedgerow as WindClan had done. The scent led them out of the field and onto a two-leg path through a small copse of trees. "Look!" Graystripe meowed. Sun-bleached piles of prey bones lay scattered in the undergrowth. Mossy bedding had been gathered beneath the thickest patches of brambles. WindClan must have tried to settle here, Fireheart meowed in surprise. "I wonder what made them leave?" asked Graystripe, sniffing the air. "The scent is old." Fireheart shrugged, and the two cats followed the trail onward to a thick hedge. With a bit of struggle, they wriggled through onto a grass verge. Beyond a narrow ditch lay a wide earth track. Graystripe leaped nimbly over the ditch and onto the hard, red track. Fireheart looked around, stiffening, as he recognized a hard edge silhouette in the distance. "Graystripe, stop!" he hissed. "What's up?" Fireheart pointed with his nose. "Look at that two-leg place over there. We must be near Barley's territory." Graystripe's ears twitched nervously. "That's where those dogs live. But WindClan definitely came this way. We'll have to hurry. We need to get past the two-leg nest before sunset." Fireheart remembered Barley telling them that the two legs let their dogs loose at night. The sun was already sinking toward the craggy tops of High Stones. He nodded. Perhaps the dogs chased WindClan out of the woods. With an anxious twitch, he thought of Ravenpaw. "Do you think he found Barley?" he asked. "Who? Ravenpaw? Why not? We made it this far," meowed Graystripe. "Don't underestimate him. Remember the time Tigerclaw sent him to Snake Rocks? He came back with an adder." Fireheart purred at the memory as Graystripe leaped across the track and through the hedge on the far side. Fireheart chased after him, quickening his pace to match his friend step for step. A dog barked furiously from the two-leg nest, but its vicious snarling soon faded into the distance. The temperature plunged as the sun set. Frost began to form on the grass. "Should we keep going?" asked Graystripe. "What if the trail takes us to High Stones after all? Nightpelt will definitely be there by now." Fireheart lifted his nose and sniffed the browning fronds of some ferns. The smell of WindClan, sour with fear, pricked at him. "We better keep going," he meowed. "We'll stop when we have to." The cold breeze carried another odor to Fireheart's nose. There was a thunder path nearby. Graystripe screwed up his face. He smelled it too. The warriors exchanged a look of dismay, but pushed on. The stench grew stronger, until they could hear the roar of the thunder path. Monsters in the distance, and by the time they reached the hedge that ran along the wide gray path, it was hard to make out WindClan trail at all. Graystripe stopped and looked around uncertainly. But Fireheart could just make out the fear scent. He crept through the shadows beside the hedge until he reached a place where the hedge was less thick. "They sheltered here," Fireheart meowed, imagining the terrified WindClan cats staring through the hedge at the thunder path. This was probably the first time most of them had seen the thunder path, Graystripe remarked as he joined Fireheart by the hedge. Fireheart looked at his friend in surprise. He had never met a WindClan cat. They had been driven out of their territory almost as soon as he had become an apprentice. "Didn't they patrol the borders?" he asked, puzzled. "You've seen their territory. It's pretty wild and barren, and the prey's not easy to catch. I guess they never thought any of the other clans would bother hunting there. After all, RiverClan has the river, and in a good year, our forests are filled with prey, so no cat needs their skinny rabbits." A monster roared past on the other side of the hedge, its night eyes glaring. Fireheart and Graystripe flinched as the wind buffeted their fur, even through the wall of leaves. When the noise had faded away, they sat up cautiously and sniffed around the roots of the hedge. "The trail seems to lead under here." Fireheart squeezed onto the grass verge that lay along the thunder path. Gray Stripe scrabbled through behind him. But on the other side of the hedge, the scent trail stopped abruptly. They must have either doubled back or crossed the thunder path, Fireheart meowed. You look around here, and I'll check the other side. He fought to keep his voice calm, but exhaustion was making him desperate. Surely they couldn't have lost the trail now, after coming this far. Chapter 5. Yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. I'm going to end it here. We finished Chapter 4, starting Chapter 5. So essentially, they did some journeying. They went through some bushes, some plains. They found Wind Clan camp. And the devastation was so bad that even the beds, the clans and the apprentices were pulled out of their homes and torn apart. Blood was still there. After 2 moons, that's 2 months. When the series says a moon has passed, that's a month. So you have to know that the damage was even way more devastating when it first happened. So we ended right here that they're near a thunder path. Do you think that's the thunder path that Wind Clan might actually be hiding kind of under? Do you think they're close? Or do you think it's a different thunder path? A different road? Well, I will leave it at that. I do apologize. I know this video is not going to be uploaded until tomorrow. I filmed it today, Monday, the 4th of July. But with my uploading situation currently, it's going to take about 16 hours before you even see this. So I'm going to tell you good night on my end. And also good morning on yours. I hope you have a wonderful day. Be safe out there in this crazy mixed up universe of ours. Bye.